what Brady's done is phenomenal. And, of course, we're just going to, lavish him with praise and right, even with the picks. Rightfully so. His place in history, undeniable. And, of course, the matchup with Mahomes is going to be incredible. To me, the criticism toward Matt LaFleur, while it's somewhat justified, it is over the top. It's over the top to me. This is my opinion. Of course, you take the ball away from an all-time great. It never seems like the sensible thing to do, and that's literally what he did. He took the ball away from Rodgers, put up 3 spot rather than going for the 6 and the 2 to tie things up with an 8-point deficit. But see, to me, that's the micro. That's the very small view. Oh, okay, what's going on? Why would you do that? Well, maybe part of the reason why you do it is because, I don't know, you're on the sidelines, maybe 60 or 70 feet away from the action, depending upon where he was during that sequence. I'm sure down inside the tight red. And first play from the Tampa Bay 8, nothing. Second play from the Tampa Bay 8, nothing. Third play from the Tampa Bay 8. There could have been something, but Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, decided not to run. And if you want to tell me that JPP may have tracked him down, and that's a plausible response, you cannot tell me that that Rodgers isn't getting at least 5 or 6 yards. I think he scores. I personally think he scores. But even if he gets 5 and he's 3 yards short, then you go for it. And I guarantee at that point, LaFleur would have gone for it. Teak, I'm not saying it was the brilliant move, but to chastise LaFleur with the vitriol and the venom that most people are doing, I think is flat out wrong.
Yeah, well, the reason that you chastise him, BT, is because in order for you have to play out all the scenarios, and this is kind of impossible to do in real time. As you're just, I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. You just assume he's going to get a yard or 4 or 5 or whatever, and give yourself many more options, inside the the 5-yard line or the 3-yard line, play calling wise, as opposed to first, second, third down, all incompletions from the 8-yard line. So you assume that you're going to get closer, but when that doesn't happen, BT, all of a sudden, these scenarios start to happen in your head, and we can look at them now and be like, oh, of course you should have done that. I mean, it's easy to sit here and say, yeah, if you kick the field goal, you have to stop Tom Brady from getting a first down. If you score a touchdown, then you have to stop Tom Brady also, but you got to stop him from scoring a touchdown, which is or getting in field goal range, whatever it is, get in scoring position, which is a completely different scenario. Mm-hmm. And so I think what Matt LaFleur didn't do was think about that specific scenario. Like what happens if we score? What happens if we kick the field goal? And it's obviously a much easier proposition to try to go score and stop Tom Brady from getting in scoring position than it is to kick the field goal and stop Tom Brady from simply getting a first down. That's the difference. That's the calculus. But I can promise you nobody was thinking about that in real time because it was happening too fast.
That I don't know. I like, and you might be right. I mean, maybe somebody that's been in that situation a lot more than LaFleur's been there. Next time he'll certainly find a way to work that into his process, I would imagine, if he didn't already. I'm not going to say that he didn't because I don't know. And I think he's a very perceptive guy. I think he's a hell of a coach. They're 13-3, 2 years in a row. Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP. Not that Aaron Rodgers was finished before LaFleur showed up, but he wasn't quite throwing basically 50 touchdowns with a handful of picks. That Rodgers hadn't really been seen for a couple of years, primarily due to injury. But I really think the key here, and I understand, what Rodgers said post-game, and we'll get to it. I think he left an unnecessary stench at the doorstep of the Packers, and we'll play it all for you. I don't like what he did post-game. Number one, because he's not going anywhere, and I thought it was petty. But
true, I think the Green Bay Packers earned that. I'm just saying. Okay,
I got you. And I think some people probably agree with that. I'll chronicle it maybe much more effectively. That's just my thumbnail sketch. I just want to stay on point with the decision-making first, and then we'll get into Rodgers' future, and along with Matthew Stafford. But I believe that if Rodgers, and maybe this ties into your thinking, if Rodgers would have known, hey, we're going for it no matter what, maybe. Yeah. I never played. I know from my TV screen, I see a direct line to the pylon. I see two receivers. What's that?
It was there.
It was definitely there. Now, JPP's moving, but he's not Tom Brady. Rodgers is a fairly adept athlete, even at this age. Again, I think he's getting 5. I really think he's getting a touchdown. But if Rodgers at least knew that no matter what, we're in 4-down territory, maybe he's more inclined to tuck it and run and risk getting caught from behind and falling at the 2 or the 3, and then you're going for it from the 2 or the 3. You're not going for it from the 8. They weren't close.
No, you're right.
On those 3 plays.
Nor were they. And so you've now drawn up because this is crunch time. This is 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes to go.
That's it.
You're calling your best plays, so you probably have 2.
No, it was more. They had the 2-minute warning.
Whatever. Yes,
but that's important. That's important.
You're in the 2-minute situation, and so this may be your last possession. You're in a tight red zone. It doesn't matter when the circumstance is. You got to score. You're calling your best tight red zone play calls, and most teams have 2, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. Having 4. That's a different in having practiced 4 so that that they're all going to I guess be open and work. That's something that's completely different. Now, if it's the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they have like 8, those tight red zone plays.
Underhanded shovels behind the back.
Dude, we saw that,
Statue
right?
of Liberty.
You're right, BT. You saw it.
Come on.
You're joking, but you're right. The underhand shovel, the last touchdown to Travis Kelce, it was just, that was stealing. He was standing wide open. By the way, Tyreek Hill was wide open too. On the other side of the end zone. So, maybe the Kansas City Chiefs have more than 3 or 4 options down there, but the Green Bay Packers clearly didn't. And I think that's ultimately what informed Matt LaFleur's decision. He didn't feel like he had the play to get 8 yards in the red zone, and so he ended up kicking the field goal. And then it came down to it's a timeout game, right? And
which they had in their favor. Timeouts and the stoppage with the 2-minute.
Agreed.
But you can't let Brady get the first down.
That's right. You can't. And more importantly, the review that gave them the first down on the false start, which was clearly intentional encroachment. They jumped off sides to give the Bucs the first down so they could use use their 3 timeouts plus
smart.
the 2-minute warning. It's smart, but if I'm the Buccaneers and I'm Bruce Arians, why not decline it? You know what I mean? Decline it. So it's now 2nd and 2 as opposed to 1st down and 10. And now they have to use the timeout. So
that's
it is what it is. Look, ultimately,
that's a good point.
Ultimately, it worked out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it didn't for the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron Rodgers has got to live with this, BT, because you think about all the chances he's had. Mm-hmm. And, last year they just got blitzed by the San Francisco 49ers. Their run defense was inept to the 49ers. This year, they had a chance to win. They intercepted Tom Brady 3 times in the second half.
And got 6 points to show for it.
Nothing from it. 6 points. And the reason is because Tampa's defense was elite. Right, Shaq Barrett just got after him on all those turnovers. He sacks and knocked him out of position, and ultimately it was no harm on the Tom Brady turnovers. Whereas the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this has been the case really all postseason, really all season long for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they turn you over, they're scoring points. That's the difference. The sudden change for Tampa produced points. The sudden change for Green Bay only produced 6.
This is a crusher for him. This is a crusher for the way he's perceived, rightly or wrongly. What is he now, 1-4?
Yep, and 4 straight.
And 4, yep. One of which was a 12-point lead. They coughed up against Seattle, going back years. It is a bitter pill for him. And, the one thing when you talk about how the Packers probably have 3 or 4 plays in the tight red and somebody like Kansas City probably has like 7 or 8, I don't dispute that. And probably multiple variations off the 7 or 8. Right. So it's really like 14 or 21.
Yeah, well, that's why.
28.
Yeah, because you can put Travis Kelce at one slot and up, and another he's in the other spot, and you can just mix and match players.
Correct. So while they have an abundance of options, Kansas City, they also have an abundance of weaponry, which is what Aaron Rodgers does not.
That's right.
Which, I listen, I know Devontae Adams is great. I know Scantling made plays. He got behind people, and that's what he does. When he gets behind you, provided he catches the football, which for the most part he does, he's scoring. He's going to house it because he runs like the wind. And they've got a tight end who scores touchdowns, but he's not dynamic.
No, Tanya, yeah.
They don't,
Yeah, but here's the thing.
If there's another guy out there that forces you to really, really alter how you attack the Packers offense just from the 8-yard line during that 3-play sequence, not talking about the kick, the 3 plays prior, there's probably somebody who's wide open.
Yeah.
And Rodgers hits him, which goes back to then drafting Love in the first round and then not drafting a wide receiver the entire draft.
That's right.
Not even around 5.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with that is because when you have Pat Mahomes has, I think, great chemistry, great trust, and at least 3 of his pass catchers. At least 3. It's like, all right, if I got to throw this through 2 windows, I know you're going to come through and find it, right? We saw this, actually. The one that he threw to Travis Kelce. He threw it Travis Kelce wasn't even clear of the defender. And the ball came out of his hand, and Travis Kelce goes down and snags it.
That was a great throw.
It was a great throw. It was a great catch, but he had faith. He had faith that his tight end / wide receiver was going to be in the right spot.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that Pat Mahomes doesn't have to get comfortable in a situation going to one guy. It was abundantly clear that Aaron Rodgers only wanted to go to Davante Adams. He was, I mean, the one that we were talking about, he should have run on 3rd down. He threw it across his body into double coverage to who? Davante Adams. So, yes, I hear what you're saying. And we said this at the beginning of the season when they drafted Jordan Love. You missed out on opportunities, and then people will counter and say, yeah, but he won the MVP. He didn't need any extra help. The problem is he didn't have anyone else he trusted in those tight, critical moments other than Davante Adams, unlike Pat Mahomes or even Tom Brady, who trust everybody.
Even Josh Allen, I think, has more trust in terms of
there's no
sheer
doubt.
Amount of players.
There's no doubt about it.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Cole Beasley was an all-pro.
Yes, he was this year.
Stephon Diggs is the guy, but Cole Beasley was an all-pro.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're right. There's many more trustworthy options for all the other teams that were playing this past weekend, except for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, Teak. I don't really understand what he's talking about pertaining to himself. He's healthily under contract for a couple of years, but let me give you a first crack at this.
Yeah, this isn't about him per se. This is more about this team and as it's currently constructed. You look at his left tackle, David Bakhtiari, who obviously was out and with an injury, and his replacement got abused a little bit. The edges, really both edges got abused. Shaq Barrett and JPP had 5 sacks between the 2 of them and 2 tackles for loss each. So you talk about disruptive plays. There was 9 disruptive plays by the edges of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's really one of the difference makers in this game. And so there could be turnover with that offensive line because of age. And I think there is a tacit, maybe acceptance that this run as he sees it could change because there's so many pieces that could leave, either voluntarily or the team is just done with him, including himself. He's not saying that specifically because of what you just said, BT. He does. He has 2 years left or 3 years left on his deal, whatever it is.
He signed a 4-year deal in 2018.
Yeah, so 2 years left on his deal. But we know they also drafted a quarterback in the first round. Now, could they just sit and let Jordan Love, play second fiddle again?
Collect dust? Sure.
Yeah, of course.
That's exactly what they'll do.
But when you draft a kid in the first round, that's just not what you do in this modern football era. You just don't do that because you end up not being able to make the decision that you need to make on the kid. So it's uncertainty right now. I think he's more upset than anything, because it is daunting. I remember this when we lost the Super Bowl in 2000. It's hard to think about how the heck do we get back to this spot again next year. Like everything's got to go right.
Yeah.
We got to stay healthy. We got to advance and get better in some parts. But they were pretty perfect for a lot of the season except for the Buccaneers, who beat them up the first time they played them, and then got the best of them this time as well. So it's frustration more than anything.
I get that, and I respect that. And certainly, there's a reason why there's, a 10-minute cool down period, which works for most people.
Yeah.
And he certainly was in control of his emotions, as he always is. But to me, there's still an element of Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers here. This is what Aaron Rodgers has always done. He's been a little bit of a different thinker, expresses himself a little differently from what we're used to. Not in a bad way, just in a little bit of a different way, where it's a little less defined, it's a little more nebulous, and with nebulous situations comes speculation. So whether or not you or I, and we don't think he's going to get traded, it's irresponsible not to at least entertain the notion of him possibly asking for a trade, as ridiculous as it sounds. I think we have to do that for a minute. And to me, there's 3 options. He retires, not happening. He demands a trade. I don't think that's happening. or he stays in Green Bay and he plays. And I think that that's what's going to happen. By the way, there's a $31 million dead cap number attached to Aaron Rodgers if they sought a trade partner or if he really took this to the well and pursued this with vigor, which he's not going to. Listen, if he's sitting there and they're 5-11 or 4-12 like Deshaun Watson, and the defense is getting gashed, giving up 35 a week, and there's just no hope in sight, and there's no draft equity, and there's your salary cap is flipped upside down, you have no coach. Then Aaron Rodgers to get me the hell out of this circus. I mean, like Deshaun Watson's doing. I'd say, listen, I don't blame you. You got a finite window to chase a chip. Get out, young man. Maximize your talents. That's why Deshaun Watson, not a person in the media, has even remotely criticized, even though he hasn't said it himself, has criticized him for reportedly wanting out. And it's apparently, and by the way, over the weekend, the report is in the Miami Herald that he wants the Jets number 1, Miami number 2. Whatever, we'll see. But with Rodgers, where is he going? Again, entertain it for a moment. Even if he says in a week from now, when the emotions settle down and the reality of what transpired, he's going to get the MVP, by the way.
Yeah.
And let's say he calls him up, I want out, or his agent says they start facilitating a trade, he's not coming back. Where is he going to go? Where is he going to go that's a better situation than he has right now?
Nowhere that has the same weapons, the running group, the wide receiving core. New England would make sense.
Okay, he could go 9-7 for the Pats and get dumped by Mahomes in the divisional round, whatever it is. Have fun.
San Francisco, maybe. But
they lost their D coordinator. They lost their OC. They lost,
Bosa. They lost their
passing game coordinator. I know. Everybody's hurt. I mean, so what are you doing with who's the quarterback? Well, he would be.
Colts.
What are you going to win in San Francisco?
Nothing.
Exactly.
But if he just is tired of Green Bay and wants to go someplace else, the Colts make sense as well.
Stafford's going there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, if you're the Colts, you want Aaron Rodgers, you want Matt Stafford. Okay.
I have him longer.
I think true, but I think people would argue we'll take Aaron Rodgers as well. I mean, I don't know. It's not even a conversation for right now. But I think there are options. Should it come down to that? But I don't think it's going to come down to that either. I think he's emotionally disappointed and frustrated and everything else that could go. Word that could go into after losing a game like they just lost. So,
but then why open the door, even slightly ajar? He said, including myself. He is the one that brought us there.
Because they drafted a quarterback in the first round.
Okay, so it is passive-aggressive.
This goes back to what I had said before we went into the break, BT.
No.
The Green Bay Packers earned this. They absolutely did. They earned the right to, or the they've earned the seat to sit and listen to Aaron Rodgers express disgruntledness this offseason.
They went 13-3.
He didn't. I'm not talking about this season. He did exactly what he was supposed to do at the beginning of the year. He smoothed over the Jordan Love draft. He made it okay. He made it non-controversial. He laughed about it. He made it so it was perfectly fine for the Green Bay Packers in 2020. This is not like 1997 or 1999 when you sit quarterbacks for 4 years because you
Understood.
can.
He smoothed it over. Okay, so where are we today?
And then wins the MVP and takes his team to home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and they lose. And so now he's letting his real feelings come out.
Okay.
They earned this, the Green Bay Packers. And again, I'm with you. I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I got you.
But Aaron Rodgers can do what Aaron Rodgers wants.
We can all do whatever we want. I agree with that. I'm not. Of course, he's got the right to do that. I just think it's unnecessary attention. An unnecessary,
but it's reality.
But it didn't have to be public reality. By the way, Aaron Rodgers down the stretch left points on the field. If Aaron Rodgers was 32 for 36 with 4 touchdowns, no picks, he decided to run when there was 15 yards of daylight in front of him, including the sideline. Aaron Rodgers didn't make a play down the stretch.
But he's not blaming anybody.
But he's saying that he's got to evaluate things. So to me, it seems like I'm kind of passing the buck if you play. Yeah. And I love him, but you didn't play as well as you had to play.
How do you know he's not evaluating his life, his desire to do this?
I can't get there. Well, if that's the case, good for him. I don't know what his life's all about. I'm sticking to football. That's all I know. I don't know what he thinks about life-wise, and I don't care.
Whether or not he wants to follow what Tom Brady did, go play someplace else and try to win somewhere else.
So wait, so you are leaving the door. So you are leaving the door slightly ajar that he could ask for a trade.
I have no idea.
Because if he doesn't ask for a trade, he shouldn't have said that. It's counterproductive.
What do you mean he shouldn't have said it? Every year, BT, you never know what's going to happen. You never know. You never know what an organization is going to decide to do. He's not the boss. He's not Russell Wilson sitting in the front office with the executives. You know what I mean? He's not Dak Prescott going to lunch and dinner and having beers with Jerry Jones. That's not what they do. It's not how the Packers organization works. And so he doesn't know what they're going to ultimately decide to do. Hell, he didn't think they were going to draft a quarterback in the first round of last year. So when he sits and says, I got to sit and evaluate, he has to look and see what the Packers are going to do. Because I don't think anybody knows what the Packers are going to do.
They've been great
the last couple of years.
I know what the Packers are going to do.
Has done a heck of a job, but Aaron Rodgers has no idea what their future plans are.
I know what the Packers. How does he not know when I know? Here's what the Packers are going to do. Welcome back, Aaron. You just won the MVP. Welcome back.
Great.
Who the hell do you think they're going to do?
Who are you going to draft with the 30th
Who
pick?
Who cares?
I mean,
you got to bring back Aaron Rodgers. If the Packers ever said, I'm going to move on from Rodgers now, that would honestly be. That would be, I don't have a word for it. That would be the dumbest thing I've ever seen in all sports.
Great.
Guy's going to win the MVP.
Yeah, so was drafting a quarterback in the first round last year.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean that you make two mistakes and compound it by keep adding to it. You misread maybe where Aaron Rodgers was. That's one mistake. You didn't draft a wide receiver. That's another mistake. That by getting rid of Aaron Rodgers to just almost reward the first mistake is the height of idiocy. There's no way Aaron Rodgers isn't on the Packers next year unless Aaron Rodgers retires.
I don't disagree.
Oh, that's all I'm saying. And, the guy, he's amazing, but he is 1-4 in the NFC Championship game. It's got to stay in his resume. It's got to.
It is what it is. It doesn't take away from his outstanding career. It just doesn't make him as much of a winner as some of these other guys. And by the way, he lost to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been exceptional and balanced especially the last 4 weeks of the season.
Packers should have won that
last
game.
6 weeks.
Packers should have won that game. They had a meltdown breakdown before the halftime, which led to a ridiculous touchdown. And they had 3 shots from the 8 to score. Come on. Brady had 3 picks. They scored 6 points off of the 3 picks. Packers should have won that game.
It's hard to say that. It's hard to
not
say.
Hard for me.
It's hard to say. Well, I mean, obviously, it's not hard for. It's easy for anybody to say, but to just.
But do you disagree? You don't think the Packers should have won?
No.
Brady threw 3 picks.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won, and their team is balanced.
Teak, if I said on Friday,
when Tom Brady throws a pick and Shaq Barrett and JPP disrupt Aaron Rodgers on the very next drive, and they punt and go 3 and out, that's great. That's what you want your team to do. Just because a team throws an interception or a player throws an interception doesn't mean that you all of a sudden you roll over and say, oh, well, we suck. All right, Aaron Rodgers, go beat us. That's not team, right? I think too many people try to get, and you're doing this in this specific case. You're taking an individual and making his performance be indicative of the entire team, and that's just not how it works in the NFL. You know this. You watch it long enough.
Of course, I understand
it's a team
that.
sport.
But it's the quarterback.
When someone throws an interception, the defense picks them up. You go make plays. You make up for it, and they did. And you got to give them credit for it.
Absolutely.
5 sacks. They got after Aaron Rodgers 5 times. He got hit like 15 times in this game, BT, and knocked around. Aaron Rodgers could not play MVP-style football because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was elite yesterday, and they've been that way. They've been opportunistic all season long. They pick you off, they turn you over, and then they turn it directly into points. So you got to give credit to Todd Bowles on the defensive side of the ball.
Of course.
Hell, you got to give credit to Byron Leftwich and
every one of them.
And Bruce Arians
phenomenal.
For when they get their interceptions, when Bunting picks off that pass, they say, all right, you guys are going to take away Chris Godwin going down the middle of the field. All they did was run all goes. They didn't do anything complicated for that touchdown to Scotty Miller at the end of the half.
Well, even the first touchdown, if King doesn't misstime his jump, that ball's deflected or picked off.
King is a market disadvantage against.
He mistimed his jump. He looks like a rookie.
He's 5 inches shorter.
Then he shouldn't be a first round. He shouldn't be on the field.
My brother was.
He's a starting quarterback in the NFC Championship game.
My brother was 5 inches shorter than everybody on the field.
But his technique was great.
You go look at his NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles.
But
He's a stat.
How old was he at that point? How old was he?
I don't know, 2002. I don't know, 20-something, 29.
Well, how old were you in 2002? It's the same thing. Listen,
I don't know. I
got you.
But
all I'm saying is this. I hear
doesn't
you.
matter.
It's not about not giving the Bucs credit. We've got 2 weeks to talk, and we will. Mm-hmm. There's a finality with the Rodgers aspect because they're gone, number one. Number two, you and I both picked the Packers to win. We picked the Packers to win.
I picked the Packers in a close one simply because they were the home team.
No, I understand that. But you thought the Packers would win. If I told you on Friday, and I picked them to win too, that not only would you pick them to win, but then Brady would throw 3 picks. If you had that knowledge on Friday, thinking that they would win before you knew that he threw 3 picks, you'd think that they won by 2 scores.
True, but that's all I'm saying. The reality is, at the half, before Brady threw any picks, it was 21-10. It could have easily been a 50-17 game. I mean, they could have blown them out. I can't sit here and say that the Packers should have won that game.
Fair enough.
The Bucs were so much more balanced all the way around. Even though they didn't run the ball well, because I thought that would be one of the keys because of the weather. The weather was perfect.
It was actually fine. No weather issues.
No, not at all.
I got you. All right. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.